Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, brought to you by our friends over at Briar-Greaves Insurance. Protecting your assets starts with a company that you can count on. So whether it's auto, homeowners, flood, boaters, or business insurance, there is nobody better in the business to work with than the great people over at Briar-Greaves Insurance. For more information about them, visit their website, briargreavesinsurance.com, or give them a call at 813-876-4166. That's 813-876-4166. And you're really going to want to remember that number because Briar-Greaves Insurance is running a special right now. If you give them a call this week, you will automatically be entered into a lotto to potentially win tickets in the first level section for the Bucs next game, not this Sunday, but next week against the Philadelphia Eagles. All you got to do is call Briar-Greaves Insurance at 813-876-4166. They'll get a quote for you for free about your insurance, whether it's auto, homeowners, flood, boaters, or business, and you will be entered into a free raffle to win free tickets to Bucs versus Eagles next week. It's a fantastic promotion, and all you got to do is give them a call. So shout out Briar-Greaves, and hopefully you'll win and be at that Bucs-Eagles game next week. But we're going to talk about Bucs versus Jets today on this Thursday edition of the Pewter Report podcast. We're going to have a Jets reporter on in a little bit, Joe Blewett from Jets X Factor. He does a great job breaking down film, so we'll get a little more insight on this matchup for Jets versus the Bucs. But we got to start off this show. By the way, I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me is Adam Slavon from pewterreport.com. We have to start off this show, though, with the myriad of injuries that the Bucs have. It's like we can't blink without the Bucs suffering another injury, especially on the offensive line, where it's absolutely decimated. Adam, the latest news from last night, and there's still more news to break down, is that Cody Mauch suffered a knee injury in that Monday night game against the Texans. He did not practice Wednesday, and now he is out for the entire season. Just a crushing blow for this team that can't deal with injuries.
He was the last guy, playing in position. You could count on Cody Mauch on game day to be the last healthy part of this offensive line, and you're hoping that Tristan Wirfs, Luke Gedeke come back, and the offensive line, the band's back together, and that's not the case. I mean, Mauch, I don't know how he played through what ended up being a season-ending knee injury. I think that's a testament to his overall toughness, but it's also, quite, when you look at his injury, the fact that it is season-ending, and he still played through it, that's really hard to fathom, and really shocking. Another development along the offensive line. And now you're wondering, you're signing guys off the street. You have guys on the practice squad. You're trying to find anybody this Sunday afternoon that can play out along the offensive line. It's going to be really tough. And another test for Josh Grizzard early on, losing a starter.
Really tough for the Bucs, but I think tough is a great way to describe Cody Mauch. Tough as nails, an absolute dog with what he was able to do and play in that game, because he was hurt for a little while. It wasn't like he just got hurt at the end of the game. And maybe we should have picked up on something that Todd Bowles was talking about yesterday, because he was asked, Cody Mauch wasn't out there. What's his status, whatever. And Bowles is just like, well, he's a question mark. It's kind of what he went with in that situation. And Bowles wasn't in a great mood in general. I mean, Scott and I were joking on the show that we love the fact that, he doesn't care about the creamsicles and the 1976 throwbacks and all the pageantry. We do, and the fans do, and it is great. But he was like, that doesn't get us to 3-0. And I'm sure in the back of his head, he already knew that Cody Mauch was going to be out for the entirety of the season. So no wonder why he wasn't in a great mood. Again, credit to Cody Mauch for, being tough enough to play through the entire game, help the Bucs win. But moving forward, this puts the Bucs in absolute dire straits with what is going on with this team. You go from a group that Cody Mauch was the only mainstay at his same position that he was going with in training camp. down to potentially going into a game where you're going to be missing 3 of your starting offensive linemen, and then potentially the 2 original offensive linemen you have in the game might not even be playing the position that they were set to play in training camp. And going back to what they did in the first 2 games, it's an absolute mishmash right now with the injuries to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And we're only talking about like one guy right now in Cody Mauch, and that's not even like the latest update. It seems like every waking hour there's another update along the offensive line. You were out there today during the practice portion. Left guard Michael Jordan wasn't out there, and then there's an update about right tackle Luke Gedeke that he's going to be placed on the short-term IR, and you're looking at him not being available until week 7 against the Lions. So this is the whole offensive line is either injured or playing out of position, and that's not the blueprint for a successful offense. And for an offensive line that was touted across the league as being one of the most young, promising units, now all of a sudden there's so much uncertainty to where like you can roll out probably 4 or 5 different combinations of offensive linemen, and the confidence level, I mean, Josh Grizzard, he doesn't seem too phased by it, but it has to be weighing on him. He has to be thinking about it pretty much nonstop right now.
I mean, I don't think there's any other way to explain how Josh Grizzard has been thrown into the fire automatically. I mean, you look at the first game of the season, you at least know he doesn't have Chris Godwin Jr. and when we're talking about the offensive line, Tristan Wirfs as well. Then they decide a week or 2 before the game, we're just going to completely move around the offensive line. And with a little over a minute left to go, you're going to have to go and retake the lead for this team. And then next week, we're going to take your top offensive tackle when Tristan Wirfs isn't in, and that's your right tackle, Luke Gedeke, and he's going to get hurt on the first drive. And then we're going to give you 3 timeouts in the 2-minute warning, but you're going to have to go all the way down the field against the Texans defense that you had not scored against since the first half and had not scored another touchdown. And, hey, Josh, can you go and score another touchdown for this team and not give them too much time? He does that. And now it's, you're going to be down 3 starting offensive linemen. And the tough thing is Gedeke, man. I know we knew he was going to be out for a couple of weeks, but seeing him go on injured reserve and now with Cody Mauch as well, the reality is setting in. One, it's like, please, Tristan Wirfs, get back as soon as you possibly can. But 2, I don't know if the Bucs have the horsepower on the offensive line, and it's not any of the backups' fault. It's just there's only so much depth you can have. But the Bucs are facing some heavy hitters over the next couple of weeks. I know people have taken the Jets lightly, but they have some good players along the defensive line. Quinnen Williams, who we'll talk about with Joe Blewett later on in the show in about 10 minutes. He's great. Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald. These are some tough players to go up against. Then you talk about the Eagles next week. The Lions, where maybe Gedeke can come back. Seahawks look like they have a tough defense. Not having Luke Gedeke for the next 4 games, it really puts all eyes on Tristan Wirfs for when he could potentially come back, because Charlie Heck did not look good in that last game, at least pass blocking. We don't know how they're going to look at offensive tackle based on the Michael Jordan situation, which we'll talk about in a second. But the Gedeke one, the reality really set in when he went on injured reserve today.
And for him, it wasn't a lack of trying either, Matt, because for as much as Cody Mauch, he played the rest of the game. Luke Gedeke, he tried to tough it out. He played 12 snaps before he left the game. So he really wanted to try to give it a go, kind of fight through that injury, but it just proved to be too much and serious enough to where he's going to miss a month of action. And it kind of makes you wonder, like, going into the Jets game, you were hopeful that Tristan Wirfs, he would be healthy enough to go out there maybe at 70, 80%. But now with so many injuries along the offensive line, the last thing that they can afford is to trot him out there when he isn't 100%, have him re-aggravate or get a more serious injury. And then all of a sudden you're really put in a bind. And for as much as people might be like, oh, the Bucs should go out and trade for this offensive lineman, sign this offensive lineman, they're available for a reason. Like, a team isn't going to give up a good offensive lineman to the Bucs just because, it's like they have to go out there on Sunday with what they have in the building. Maybe it's Dan Feeney or Michael Jordan, but like you're trying to make it work with what you have. It's a very makeshift offensive line. And again, it points to Grizzard and just like last week they had 160 something rushing yards. He's finding success with whatever he has, but now he has less to work with.
And going against the Jets, they are a team that allowed over 200 rushing yards last week against the Buffalo Bills. So they are a little susceptible to the run. There's definitely no doubt about that. And we'll see how the Bucs try to construct this offensive line. But I'm with you. I don't think the Bucs have a slight benefit that they are 2-0 right now. Because had they lost to the Texans or, even the Falcons, that game came down to a missed field goal. Had they lost to one of those teams, then it becomes panic mode a little bit for the Bucs, and you don't have that luxury of maybe you can wait for, or maybe you don't have as much time to wait with Tristan Wirfs because, hey, you're behind the 8 ball. You still got a division to win. You have some tough opponents coming up, but I think the Bucs can, I don't want to say relax, but you can at least have the benefit of being 2-0 to begin the season. They are going up against the Jets, but again, the Eagles are tough. The Niners are undefeated right now. Seattle's a little tough as well. The Lions, one of those things, it's better when you have a later bye week, typically in the NFL. Yeah. But for this team right now and the status of their group, it almost seems like you wish they had like a week 6 bye week or something like that. The other piece of this puzzle is Michael Jordan, or Mike Jordan, as he gets called as well, who's still on the practice squad technically, but they've called him up for the first 2 games of the season. He was not on the injury report at all.
Yeah.
Yesterday on Wednesday, and it was a walkthrough. Today, he wasn't in uniform in any capacity. So we'll see what the injury report is. It'll probably come out in about 20 minutes while we're on the show, so we can go and read it live. But if Michael Jordan can't go, we're talking about potentially Elijah Klein, second-year player, coming in at offensive guard. Luke Haggard as well. They just brought up from the practice squad. They signed him to the active roster. And you mentioned Dan Feeney before. He's been around the league. He's been in the NFL for 8 years now. Played for the Jets for a little bit. Was on the Chargers. Was with the Vikings and the Bears. I don't know if you could play him this week, though. Like, he wasn't even at practice today because he was taking his physical. That's a lot to ask of a guy to come in, only have like 2 or 3 practices, and then go and play in this game. But he does kind of symbolize the type of offensive lineman that Jason Light loves to have. He's kind of like of that Luke Gedeke caliber of in-your-face kind of smash-mouth football. I'm not comparing him to Luke Gedeke. And also I was told, he's an Irish Catholic from Chicago. So, he wants to like get in the faces of everybody. But, what do you think of the outlook of this offensive line, Adam? What options would you like to see if, Tampa Bay is going to be missing Michael Jordan as well?
Yeah, the other thing I'll say about Feeney on the scouting report is that he has a mullet too. So Jason Light, he probably saw all those there, and he's like, yeah, that's my kind of guy. Let's bring him into the fold. But when you look at the offensive line, like we mentioned, I think you probably sit out Wirfs this game. Like you try to give him some rest, and hopefully that he can go against the Eagles for the next stretch of tough games, Matt, because the Bucs, when it comes to week 1 and week 2, they always win, but then week 3, they kind of fall like in years past. Like they're typically 2-1 under Todd Bowles through the first 3 games of the season. So when you look at it, you kind of want to take this game with the offensive line as light as possible, and then try to, when the midseason stretch comes along and you're playing these really good playoff caliber teams, you want Tristan Wirfs out there. You want to get Luke Gedeke healthy, and then you kind of take it from there.
Yeah, that's definitely the silver lining of all of this, is that the cavalry is on the way, but it is going to take some patience for this team. We're going to break down this matchup between the Bucs and the Jets a little bit more. We're going to bring on Joe Blewett from Jets X Factor in just a moment. But first, let's talk about Walk-Ons, the best place to go and enjoy a football game like tonight. You have a battle in the AFC East, the Dolphins traveling to Buffalo, taking on the Bills. Make sure you go and check it out over at Walk-Ons. Tons and tons of TVs. I can't recommend enough, especially going on a Saturday when you have college football all day, or watching the Bucs there on Sunday. I know they're home this week, but there are 3 Walk-Ons in the Tampa Bay area, one in Wesley Chapel, another in Lakeland, and a third in Midtown Tampa, literally like 10 minutes away from Raymond James Stadium, maybe even closer. Check out the kickoff cocktails that they have. You could try the Walk-Ons Whiskey Sour, the Player's Punch, or the Strawberry Mule. They have happy hours pretty much every single day through the week. Tuesday is the big day to go as well, because it's all day happy hour. And the appetizers are fantastic. We've had some great Pewter Report events as well, with Zion McCollum coming through and assistant general manager Mike Greenberg too. So check out Walk-Ons. Enjoy all the sports, the fanfare, and everything else going on at Walk-Ons. All right, joining the show now, a special guest. He's been covering the Jets for a little while now. He's fantastic with all of his film work as well. Does a great breakdown of the Jets for each game. It is Joe Blewett from Jets X Factor. He is the co-owner of Jets X Factor. Joe, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to speak with us this afternoon. How is morale with the New York Jets right now after an 0-2 start with two wildly different games to start the season?
I think the morale has been down since like 2008, so it's never really been up. One good year in 2015, we almost made the playoffs. Get beat by the Bills in Week 17. I was there, brutal. It's a thing where you have to acknowledge that this coaching staff hasn't been here for 15 years, so a lot of people are kind of lumping in this coaching staff for the last 15 years. With that being said, we don't have the highest expectations. I think most fans think 6-7 wins for the Jets, but we want to see them be competitive. Like Aaron Gled said in the offseason, it's a team you'll be proud of. When you come out in Week 2 and you get blown out 30-10, but realistically that could have been 50-3. Like it was the Bills took their foot off the gas in the third quarter. Josh Allen came out with 11 minutes in the fourth quarter. They started running the ball. So not the greatest start for Jets fans. We've been tortured in the past, and this obviously wasn't a good omen, but obviously have to acknowledge that, hey, it's Week 2 of Coach Glenn's first tenure. So
for sure. Yes, go ahead.
When you look at it, like in Week 1, they played such a competitive back and forth game with the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Fields was looking like the real deal. Then all of a sudden, he gets a concussion. He's out this week. And you have Tyrod Taylor coming in, who he's 36 years old, but throughout his career, he's shown that he's an efficient quarterback. When you look at kind of the offense and the strategy that they have, what do you kind of see like changing with Taylor versus Fields, if anything?
Yeah, it's definitely going to change. I think the offense will open up a little bit more in terms of the passing game, pocket passing. That's the problem with Justin Fields throughout his career. And there's obviously more, but a lot of it's inconsistency. One good week, one really bad week, and he was brutal last week. It was as bad as any game you see from Zach Wilson or whoever else we've had in the past. He was beyond terrible. But in terms of the game plan, you're going to see a lot less running the ball from the quarterback, because Tyrod, while he can move, it's not a thing you want him to do at 36 years old. Often injured quarterback. So they might have him run like a quarterback keeper, 2-3 times on like a key third down, something like that. But past that, the offense is going to most likely be a little bit more drop back, actually passing the ball, a little bit less running in terms of the read option. So I think Tyrod has a higher floor than Justin Fields, but a much lower ceiling just because of the lack of being able to use his legs.
By the way, you can follow Joe on social media at JoeRB31. I've seen a lot of people covering the Jets. Also, granted, I should admit, I am from Long Island, so a lot of my friends and family are huge Jets fans as well. And a lot of people feel that the Jets have a better chance to win with Tyrod over Justin Fields right now, given what's been going on with the team. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I like I said, I think he has the higher floor. You're not going to get a 1.1 QBR from Tyrod when he comes into the game. He's usually pretty efficient in terms of passing the ball, doesn't turn the ball over. Really, really good deep ball. I'm anticipating the Bucs will somehow, they'll bracket or use like cone coverages on a Garrett Wilson, because past that, you really don't have much in terms of the Jets passing attack. So, and Tyrod, when they scrimmaged the Commanders, I believe, in the offseason, or maybe that was 2 off seasons ago, Tyrod went to Garrett Wilson like 1,000 times. So Tyrod's going to be going to Garrett Wilson a lot. I don't think the Bucs are dumb. I don't think Todd Bowles is dumb. I actually like Todd Bowles. Obviously, didn't work out for the Jets, but I would double up on Garrett Wilson and then just make them beat them elsewhere in the receiving game. Obviously, the running game as well. Todd Bowles likes the blitz, as you guys know. That's what the Bills did. They guessed correctly, first and second down. The Jets are a heavy running team. They blitzed on first and second down, specifically with their corners. Jets coaching staff didn't adjust. Justin Fields pre-snap didn't see some obvious signs that a corner was coming, didn't change the play running right into blitzing corners. So I think Tyrod will give them a higher, a higher floor in terms of recognizing that stuff pre-snap and actually being able to throw the football. The Jets have made it really easy for Justin Fields, 1-2 read, get to your check down. And he was missing blatantly open guys all game against the Bills, where he didn't do that against the Steelers. So I do think Tyrod is undoubtedly the better pocket passer, the better quarterback. Justin Fields obviously offers the top 5 quarterback in terms of running the ball. That's about all he does that's above average.
And it kind of seems like going with Tyrod for this game over Justin Fields. Like Fields in the past against the Bucs, he didn't really have success against them. One can point to the game he had against the Bears a couple years ago where he just didn't have it. And so with Tyrod, you have a solid quarterback that can kind of manage things. But when you look at like the run game at Breece Hall, it doesn't seem like he's in the conversation much like he was about being one of the better running backs in football, but just his dual threat ability, his ability to run and catch the football. I mean, he's our second leading receiver right now. How do you think he's going to be utilized this week?
Yeah, the thing with Breece, he's an interesting player because his first year, he's so good, home run threat, all that stuff. Yeah. People are drafting him, first round in fantasy football, all this stuff. Last year, he came out and he was battling a knee injury last year. He just did not look like the same player. And even, not even just by looks, by like his GPS numbers, his acceleration, his top end speed was just completely down. He had some of the most fumbles in the league, some of the most drops in the league. I think he broke 7 tackles all year, which is an embarrassing number for a running back. So he was really bad last year. Week 1, he was very, very good. He looked like the old Breece Hall. Week 2, he didn't have a chance. Like I said, they were running into 8 and 9 man boxes, and they were consistently blitzing their corners, and Engstrand in the offense didn't adjust, more so Justin Fields. But he looks like he's back to form. It's just, I imagine the Bucs are going to do what the Bills did, and a lot of teams are. They're going to stack the box and make the Jets passing attack beat you. I don't see why else you do anything else until obviously they do beat you. But even if Tyrod's a more efficient quarterback, like the problem is, and Josh Reynolds is out, who's the Jets receiver too, but you have a rookie starting at tight end, and then receiver 3 through 6 are just a bunch of Jags, being realistic. So, it's gonna be interesting to see. I'm hoping at least for closer to week 1, not week 2. I don't know if I could do another week 2. I've been doing 10 years of week 2s, so I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem with the Jets. And yes, it is a new regime with Aaron Glenn. It's his first year, but it still feels like the Jets have a little bit of that mentality where if things start to go wrong early on, which, it did last game, Fields missed that big throw at the beginning. The Bills went up. Michael Clemens had that absolutely mind-numbing penalty, and then Fields fumbles it on the next play, and it's almost like, here you go again with the Jets. It seems like they're not exactly a team built and equipped to play from behind in most contests.
Yeah, no doubt. They want to run the ball, and you can't run the ball when you're behind. That's just that's what it is. And there's been so many games in the last couple of years. It's been torturous, but 5 minutes into the game, the game starts at 1. It's like 1:12 p.m. I'm like, okay, game's over. Like I got another 3 hours of this. Like, what is going on here? But yeah, you have the missed dig over the middle to Garrett Wilson on 3rd down, and then you have a Josh Allen scramble for 30-something yards on 3rd and 8, where Sherwood completely blew the play on that one, and then you have him on 3rd and 19, and Clemens gets a roughing the passer call. It's like, what are we doing? So then like you said, you have a fumble from Justin Fields, and the game is over at that point. Again, 5 minutes into the game, but like 12 minutes in real time. So they're not built to come back. They don't have the quarterback position to do it. They never really have. Again, it's been torturous since, the early 2000s with the Jets, really. Aaron Rodgers comes in, we're all excited, tears his Achilles, 4 plays into it. Like it's been bad. But yeah, we've never been able to come back. That's just, we don't win games in general, but talking about coming back, no, that's not going to happen.
And so we've talked so far really about the offense, but when you kind of look at the Jets defense, they have an opportunity to do some things. I don't know if you heard our discussion beforehand with all the Bucs offensive injuries right now, but when you look at Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson, Quinnen Williams, like they have the talent up front to really get after Baker Mayfield. When you look at it, where do you see like maybe the opportunity for New York to have the most success? And then also just like the defensive identity under Aaron Glenn so far.
Yeah. Well, the identity hasn't been great, allowing 32 or 34 points to the Steelers, and then, 30 points to the Bills. That could have been 50. So fans are already starting to be like, hey, Wilkes has to lose play calling, and Glenn has to come and grab it. But there's been problems, and that's the frustrating thing is like we all, your Jets fans at least, expected the offense to be below average, and we were hoping for average. But like, hey, hang our hat on the defense, should be top 10 to 5. You know, like you said, you got talent on the defensive line, you got JJ, you got Q, you got Will McDonald, who's a good pass rusher, not good in the run game. You got 2 good linebackers. You got good corners, at least in terms of sauce. You paid Andre Cisco $10 million a year. So it's like the defense should not be this bad. And a lot of it, it's not individual talent. A lot of it is schematical. You know, as you guys referenced, like I do a lot of film breakdowns and stuff, but they lack disguise. So cover 4 looks like 4 pre-snap. You know, 3 looks like 3, 1 looks like 1. They don't really disguise a lot of penalties. They've been running a lot of base personnel with Montgomery Ball in at third linebacker, and I'm a Jets fan. I've seen a lot of really bad play. He is awfully bad in coverage, awfully bad. They've been butting a lot on play action. So if I were the Bucs, I would attack the Jets linebackers in coverage, because even Quincy and Sherwood, you know, they're good, rangy sideline to sideline linebackers in the run game, but in pass game, not so much there. So I would use a lot of motion against the Jets and try to get them confused pre-snaps. They haven't been reacting well to it. A lot of play action, and I would attack Ball all day because he is brutal. And it's not even a thing where he's within a yard or 2 of a guy who's responsible for it. There was plays where he's 10 yards away from guys just because he gets sucked up on play action so badly. So the defense is frustrating because they have talent. They have a lot of high priced guys. They have a lot of first round draft picks. So they need to bounce back in a big way. If not, I think Wilkes gets pulled from play calling. But in terms of the success, like you guys said, like they got talent on the defensive line, and the Bucs have is it 3 starters out now?
Right now,
on the offensive line.
It depends on Tristan Wirfs, but it's looking like 3 for sure. So pass protection is going to be, huge for them in this upcoming game, which means they're going to want to run the football. And of course, why not? When you have Bucky Irving and Rashad White played great last game as well. What was with the run stopping issues for New York? Sorry, I saw Quinton Williams saying that they've made a pact that they're not going to allow 200 rushing yards. But what's the best way for the Bucs to kind of exploit the Jets in the ground game?
Cutbacks. That's what killed them against the Bills. A lot of over pursue, a lot of guys trying to make plays for themselves and not holding their gap and a half, and they just cut back all day on the Jets. You could attack their corners, especially Sauce Gardner in the run game, but that's what the Bills did. It was a lot of inside zone, mid zone, or even like wind back runs, and the Jets would over pursue, cut back, and they were just destroying them all day with that. So the Jets have to be more gap disciplined, because if not, they're gonna get shredded. But again, they have talent, and one of the problems is JJ came out too, and then you get Michael Clemens in, and Jets fans, if there's one person to hate on the team, it's Michael Clemens, and we've been begging for him to be cut. Loses us the game in this game, and even Xavier Gibson. Like I don't know how up you guys were on the first Jets game, but Jets fans all offseason were screaming for this guy to get cut because he's awful. All he does is muff punts and fumbles, and then the Jets are up 9 or whatever it was to the Bills, and he fumbles a kickoff return and it's a touchdown. The next, it's been so bad. So Michael Clemens is another one of those guys. So I have to hope that JJ is going to be healthy. I think he is, based on all reports. So he's pretty solid in the run game. Harrison Phillips is good in the run game. Q is good in the run game. They struggle at the other defensive end spot, whether it be Clemens, who's just awful in all aspects, or Will McDonald, who's a little bit light in the pants, so he's not the best in the run game. But you're hoping that they obviously, watch the film, like Aaron Glenn said, and they're going to limit the cutbacks. I expect the Jets to load up that box and try to get to the Bucs quite a bit. And, Sauce Gardner, ups and downs, obviously still a very good corner, but Mike Evans is a good matchup for him. He's definitely better against the bigger guys. The more shifty Tyreek Hills he'll struggle a little bit more with, but the DK Metcalfs, the Mike Evans type guys, he's usually pretty solid against. So I anticipate them locking him up and following Sauce on Mike Evans and then making them beat them elsewhere in the pass game and stacking the box against the run game, because Bucky Irving's a really good running back.
And it does seem like the best bet for the Jets this week is to adopt what game plan the Texans had last week, using the ends that they have in Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson, try to close the pocket, because the Bucs didn't really have offensive success in the second half until it came down to the end of the game. So when you kind of look, let's say the Jets pass rush doesn't get home and Baker has time to throw, what do you make of New York secondary? Because outside of Sauce Gardner, I mean, they have Andre Cisco at safety, but there's not like a ton of star power there either.
No. And is Ibuka going to be out too? I saw he's on the injury report a little bit.
Yeah, we'll find. He didn't practice again today, or at least when the media was out there. But that's a huge blow as well on top of the offensive line because he's been a sensation for them early on.
Yeah, he's out, and then obviously Godwin's still out and stuff. So, but in terms of the sorry, what was the question? I got off track with the Ibuka thing. What was the question you asked really quick?
Yeah, so like if the Jets pass rush doesn't get home, if the offensive line holds up, what do you make of the secondary being able to stay with it?
No, not a lot. Tony Adams, I think he's healthy, but seemingly he might be benched this week for 4th round rookie Malachi Moore at strong safety. Cisco is very up and down. He's a little bit of a gambler, so he might get a pick, but he'll also let up a 45-yard post over his head. Brandon Stevens has been awful. He was not good with the Ravens. The Jets saw him, and that's a whole different discussion. He's very tight in coverage. He's very, very good at locking down a guy. But once the ball's in the air, he is brutal at knowing how to play the ball in the air. There's a lot of technical things that I get into in the reviews I do with Brandon Stevens and how he can get better in that. And then Michael Carter II for years was a very good slot corner, but this year he's not been good. I don't know if it's solid leaving. I don't know what it is. Injuries, whatever it may be, but he got beat up a little bit, or he got beat up a lot of it in week 2. Week 1 missed a few big tackles. So he's been very up and down. So yeah, the only reliable guy you have in the secondary right now is Sauce. MC2, listen, he's been really good for 4 or 5 years now. I'm not gonna 2 games, I'm not gonna kill him. So he's good, but elsewhere, I would attack the Jets safeties, specifically Brandon Stevens, and then play action linebackers all day against Ball and Quincy Williams and all that stuff. I don't know if you guys lose a lot of motion and all that stuff, but it's been tripping the Jets up a lot, and they just don't know where to be at times. So pass Sauce and Mike Evans. If you guys have other options who your guys are going to be consistent with, then you could beat up the Jets secondary.
Yeah, they've used more motion over the last 2 years. They use it a ton with Liam Cohen as the offensive coordinator, and they still use it now. Maybe not as much of an insane amount, but they definitely still use it. Will Sauce shadow Mike Evans like all over the field? Because they put Mike in the slot from time to time as well. It's not typically where he goes. But what do you see there?
Yeah, they didn't. Sauce didn't shadow last week because they got their best receivers.
The Bills don't really have like a true number one. Yeah.
DK, he followed around all game. I'm anticipating them doing the same thing with Mike Evans, especially with Ibuka. Probably, like if I were the Bucs, listen, it's the Jets. You can't overlook anybody. I've heard the stat too, Adam, that the Bucs have been 2-0 for so many years, and they always go to 2-1. They never really get to 3-0. But are you gonna try to risk a guy versus the Jets with Ibuka or Tristan Wirfs or anything like that? Like, cross my fingers. Hey, hopefully they overlook the Jets. You could actually, win a football game. That'd be nice. But yeah, he will follow. He's not the best in the slot just because of the two-way go, and it's different. Just like the offensive lineman, I think people overlook it with corner. Left cornerback, right cornerback. Why do we talk about left tackle, right tackle, and how it's hard? It's also hard with right cornerback, left cornerback, and then slot because with a slot you don't have that sideline to use as your second defender there. So he'll struggle a little bit more in the slot, and that's when you saw him get beat last game against Josh Palmer. Like, again, as a Jets fan, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. Josh Allen gets his nose hit, bleeding on the sideline. Yeah. Mitch Trubisky comes in for 3rd down. I'm sitting there with my wife. I'm like, I guarantee you this is going to be a first down right here. I guarantee you. I've just seen it too many times. And of course, they go at Sauce Gardner for like a 30-yard gain. That play, Palmer did get illegal hands to the face on Sauce Gardner and pushed him off, and the refs didn't see it. But it is what it is. You still don't want to get beat there. But yeah, I anticipate him following him all around the field, especially if like an Ibuka's out because Bucs are stacked at receiver. But when you take out their 2 and 3 and Ibuka and Godwin, then I'm not sure about their 4, 5, and 6. They should be able to match up decently well there. So yeah, you got to shut down Mike Evans with Sauce. So I'm anticipating him following him 85-90% of the reps.
And kind of one question. So we're talking Sauce, Mike. I want to go back to Garrett Wilson here. And I'm curious because like the Bucs, they shut down Drake London week 1. Nico Collins, if it wasn't for a great touchdown catch, he had a really quiet game. How do you think the Jets will look to get Wilson involved and kind of manufacture touches? Because that's what the Bucs have done with Godwin and Ibuka. Can New York and Ekstrand kind of do the same?
Yeah, they've been using him all over the field this year, whether it be slot, outside Z, all this stuff. So they'll move him around quite a bit, and he's always going to be part of the first or second read because, again, what else do the Jets really have? So I'm anticipating that they'll be looking at him a lot. It's just if I was the Bucs, like why not bracket him? Just bracket him all day and make somebody else beat you. So they'll look at him a lot. They'll target him a lot. But in terms of like manufactured touches, in terms of like, end arounds, jet sweeps, screens, stuff like that, like he doesn't really do that a ton. They will move him around and try to give him advantageous matchups. And like I said, Tyrod, when he did practice with Garrett Wilson, just did not stop targeting him. So they'll go at him. I just don't see, as a professional organization, with Bowles being as good as he is on the defensive side, they're going to blitz the Jets and they're going to make them go elsewhere other than Garrett Wilson. So we'll see if he can handle it. The problem with Garrett Wilson is and not like Justin Fields, because Garrett Wilson's a top 10 to 20 receiver in the league.
Yeah.
Sure. But he's inconsistent too. Like Buffalo Bills game, 4th and 3, drops that ball. He gets hit by Jalen Ramsey. Last year we played the Steelers, same thing. He catches the ball, he gets hit, he pops it up in the air, and they get I think it was a pick 6 or almost a pick 6. So Garrett Wilson's very inconsistent. But he's obviously a very explosive and a very dynamic receiver. It's just the inconsistencies drive Jets fans crazy. Paid $32.5 million a season now, still dropping balls. And one of his biggest problems too is he consistently jumps to catch the football, and he catches it with his body, which is very frustrating. But yeah, they'll try. I just don't see how the Bucs let it happen, considering the rest of the Jets receiving options.
And then real quick, just what have you seen from the Jets offensive line, even after Elijah Vera Tucker right before the season was out for the whole year? I know he has a huge injury history, so it's not exactly shocking, but still unfortunate nonetheless. How have they held up? It looked like Membu did great against Watt in week 1, but your thoughts there?
Yeah. Of course, ABT, like he tears both of his triceps. Like that's one injury, second year, a tricep, this year, a tricep in practice. Like triceps, really? Like what is going on there?
Yeah.
He was their best offensive lineman. PFF numbers and stuff. Like, I don't know how you guys feel about PFF. I'll be a little bit easy on them, I guess, in your chokes. I don't know, but I hate PFF. I really do. I don't think they know what they're looking at. I've seen some guys who go, "Oh yeah, I work for PFF," and I'm like, I know you know nothing about football, so this is a problem. But nonetheless, with the numbers last week, they weren't good for the Jets in the offensive line. But the problem is, again, they were running into 8 or 9 man boxes. There's a play, and Engstrand, people criticized him for the game last week, and there were some problems I had, again, running into corner blitzes and not spreading out and going to lighter personnel, like certain little things. But a lot of the problem was Justin Fields in terms of the running game and the passing game not working. Like if you look at the average time to throw, Justin Fields at like 3.5 seconds, 3.6, something like that, which is ridiculously high. So the offensive line has been very good still. It's just that Justin Fields holds the ball forever, indecisive, coming off the first read too quickly, not anticipating throws. Holding the ball, taking sacks. So the offensive line has been very good. It's just in terms of the pass game, he holds the ball forever. The numbers are going to look bad. In the running game, you run into 8 or 9 man boxes against corner blitzes. Not going to look great, but individually, Fashanu has been good. Membu, he got beat by Joey Bosa a time or two, but okay. The week before that, he handled TJ Watt pretty well. Admittedly, with a lot of chips from the tight ends, which the Jets would be idiots not to do. Tippman's been good at guard. Simpson's a pretty good left guard, and then Myers is an okay center. Really bad in the run game, but pretty good in the pass game. So offensive line is fine. It's just, again, you can't run into stack boxes and you can't hold the ball for 4 seconds and try to have good offensive line numbers, at least by PFS metrics.
Yeah. And Joe, once again, thank you for your time. I have one more question for you, and kind of going into Sunday, what's maybe a matchup on each side of the football that you're going to be looking at as being key to victory?
Yeah. I on the defensive side of the ball for the Jets, it's the pass rush. Like they have to get home. They have to hit Baker. I love Baker, his moxie. Like I love the story. I do. Oh, yeah. I like Bowles as a person. He wasn't great with the Jets, but there's a lot of first-time coaches who don't work out. Second go around with the Bucs. He's doing well, and I think he's a good human, and I like Baker. So I can't hate on the Bucs, but yeah, with the Jets, it's the offensive, it's the defensive line versus the offensive line. Gotta hit him a lot. It's obviously Sauce first, Mike Evans. I think Sauce should be, and again, there's not a lot of confidence I have in a lot of matchups, but Sauce should be able to do decently well against Mike Evans. But gotta hit Baker, gotta fluster him, gotta get him behind the sticks on third down. Get some sacks, create turnover. The Jets have never created turnovers, and through 2 weeks they have 0 turnovers. So they have to hit Baker. Hopefully, he was a little bit not like I'm not going to say like a straight up gunslinger, but he'll throw some balls up. He's a little bit daring.
No doubt about it.
So yeah, so hit him. Maybe get him a little bit flustered at times, and hopefully you create a turnover. So defensive line versus offensive line, no doubt. And then for the Jets on offense, it's really, can you run the football? And I know Tyrod is a better quarterback than Justin Fields, but still, even Tyrod healthy, he's still a bottom 10 quarterback, bottom 5 quarterback in the league. So you don't want to rely on him consistently in the passing game. I don't see Garrett Wilson being able to produce a ton, even though he'll be targeted a lot. So again, it's more in the trenches. Can they run the football? The Jets have some good running backs with Breece Hall, with Braylon Allen, with Isaiah Davis. So how do they counter the Bucs blitzing? Because we know Todd Bowles likes to blitz, so you can't run into blitz looks consistently on first and second down. Their numbers have been very heavily skewed towards the run game, first and second down. Can you change it up? Some passes on first down, all that stuff to lighten up the box. But the Jets are going to have to run the football to win this game.
Joe, this has been a ton of great insight looking into this matchup for Bucs versus Jets. So thank you so much for all of this great info. Please let everybody know where they can follow your work and follow you on social media. And then also feel free to give us a prediction on the game.
Yeah, I'll go prediction first. I do think the Jets keep it close just because of the injuries. And at a certain point, you have to be in a game. They have to have some pride. So something like 27-20, 24-20. I'm thinking for the Bucs. Obviously, pray to God. I don't want to do another breakdown of a loss. So I'm hoping the Jets win with every part of my being. So yeah, I'll go 23-20 Bucs. In terms of me, Joe RB31 on Twitter, JetsXFactor.com. I'm sure there's not a Bucs fans who are going to come over and legitimately follow Jets X Factor, but being realistic, follow me for a week at the least. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll be putting up a lot of plays, negative and positive. Maybe bias creeps in a little bit with me with the film breakdowns. I don't think I let it creep in a lot, but you'll get an unbiased review, film breakdown of the game, what happened, breakdown on Twitter, all the plays. So at least for this week, come along for the ride and get a couple of good film breakdowns.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's a lot of great work. And, I can't help but think if Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't throw that damn interception in the end zone in Buffalo, who knows where Todd Bowles is? Maybe he's still with New York. Well, he did throw a lot, but the one at the end when they were trying to set up the field goal. But anyway, Joe, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for the invite. And hopefully maybe, after the game next year, 2 years down the line, I talk to you guys again. That definitely appreciate the invite.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks again to Joe for coming on. Let's talk about Splash Sports. Make sure you download the Splash Sports app today. Join over 2.5 million people playing on Splash Sports, the home for Survivor, Pick'em, and Quick Picks. Whether you want to create your own contest with friends or take a shot at life-changing prize pools, Splash Sports has you covered. Turn $20 into $1,000 with the best multipliers in daily fantasy sports. You think you have what it takes? Prove that you're the sharpest fan in Bucs Nation and download Splash Sports to play their various leagues, pools, and quick picks. I'll have my quick picks out each week for the Bucs game. I also just put out my video. You can see it on our YouTube shorts for tonight's Thursday night football game, if you want to bet on that as well, all over Splash Sports. So shout out to Splash Sports. There's the QR code. Let's win some money on Splash Sports. Thanks again to Joe Blewett for joining the show. A lot of stuff to break down with that matchup, and I think we pretty much covered everything. I believe the injury report just came out, so let's get into that, and then we got a bunch of super chats to get to as well. So a lot of these were to be expected due to Luke Gedeke and Cody Mount going on injured reserve. But starting off, Emeka Egbuka with a hip and groin injury did not practice once again. Luke Gedeke and Cody Mauch were put on injured reserve. Chris Godwin Jr. and Tristan Wirfs were limited in practice once again. Servassier Dennis and Hassan Reddick practiced in full, and Baker Mayfield practiced in full once again. For the Jets, real quick, Justin Fields, he's going to be out for the game, but he did not practice. Jermaine Johnson did not practice. That's a big one for everyone to pay attention to. Keen Nwangu did not practice with the hamstring. Josh Reynolds, as Joe mentioned, is going to be out for the game. Jay Tufeli did not practice. Tony Adams, limited in practice with a hip injury. Michael Carter, the second, limited with a shoulder injury. Marcelino McCrary Ball, limited with a hamstring. And then Andre Sisco, Sauce Gardner, and Kiko Mawagoa all practiced in full. So Emeka Buka, on top of all the pile of crap that the Bucs are dealing with, Emeka Buka and his availability becomes the next thing in this drama, the next biggest thing with who's available for the Bucs.
And he's really the biggest domino heading into Sunday. I mean, you already know what's going to happen with Luke, with Cody, but it's really Emeka and Tristan are the ones kind of in limbo for Sunday, and you would expect Tristan not to go. But if Emeka doesn't go, like we were just talking with Joe, like with Sauce probably holding his own up against Mike for the most part, who's going to be that next option in the passing game for Baker Mayfield? Is it going to be Sterling Shepard? Is he going to rise to the occasion?
Yeah.
Josh Grizzard was asked about Ryan Miller today. We got a little bit of insight from him. But is Ryan Miller going to be the savior? I mean, he had a touchdown on Monday night, but is he going to be able to do what he did in the preseason? I don't know that. Tej Johnson, he's unproven. So there's a lot of variables here, and the Bucs on offense are just so battered, Matt. And it's really a testament to Baker Mayfield and like just his identity taking over this team. Because if it wasn't Baker Mayfield at quarterback, even if you put another good quarterback in these circumstances, I really don't think they're sitting at 2-0 right now. And I know how much you love Justin Herbert. Like if Justin Herbert was in his shoes, they'd probably be 0-2.
Yeah, I got to give Justin Herbert some credit. He's actually playing pretty well this season. But yeah, I don't think you can say it's panic mode yet, because if the Bucs win, then it's like, hey, they figured out how to play with this makeshift offensive line and receivers. But hot damn, it's not going to be easy. Let's get to these super chats. We're going to go with this super chat first because it's a $99.99 super chat.
Yeah.
If you super chat us $100, you get to cut the line of the super chatters. But thank you to Black Gold, $19.99 for this super chat. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
Says, something that's been bothering me since the beginning of the season is that all these sportscasters, from Skip to Shannon to Stephen A., were talking bad about Baker. And now they're on his bandwagon. Stop glazing over our quarterback. We've known he was the man. That's why local reporting is also very important. Because I'm with you, Black Gold 1999. We've been there from day one since Baker Mayfield has been with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I understand, especially the talking heads like you've just mentioned, they're not at practice every single day. They got 32 teams to cover as well. But they're also the ones that will be like, hey, is horrible. And then the next day be like, wow, I think he's going to win MVP. You know, and it just comes off as fake and not realistic. So I agree with you tenfold when it comes to that. It's easy to kick Baker while he's down. Like, remember when Baker first got there and the viral video went around where he had a bad pass and like kind of shot out of his hands weird, or it completely overthrew the receiver. Everyone's like, oh my God, he's going to be terrible. We were the ones saying, first of all, that's a one throw in practice of 100 throws. But yeah, shout out to everyone that has rode with this team, because Baker is the man.
Yeah, he is the man. And when you look at the national media narrative, like sometimes it does come off as insincere. And that's why like media in general can get a bad rap, is because they'll ride a player when he's up. But as soon as he's down, as soon as Baker Mayfield was released from the Panthers and claimed by the Rams, everybody's like, oh, he's washed. He's a journeyman quarterback. He's never going to be a starter again. It's like, look at him now. He's thrown the most touchdown passes from 2023 to 2025. He's an absolute dog who can win football games for teams again. And when you look at him, this is like the perfect comeback story to where he was cast aside. And now you can't argue that he's not a top 10 quarterback. But for these national media heads to now jump on the train and say, oh, he's such a great quarterback, we love Baker Mayfield. It's like, no, you didn't. You didn't in 2023. Right. And now you just want to jump on the train because the Bucs are winning the division, which these guys didn't predict that they would win at all. So I don't know. It comes off as insincere, but I agree with you. He is the man.
And there's a fine line. Like, if Baker's not playing well, you could say, oh, he's not playing well. Like, you can't see him in Carolina not looking good and be like, Yeah, he's fine. He's fine. It's okay. But at the same time, you don't have to go completely over the top with it. Eric
Yeah.
Moreno, thanks for the $5 super chat. Says Rick
Thank you.
Stroud reported Ibuka was expected to practice today. Ibuka wasn't out there during media availability. He was not, and he didn't practice today. So he didn't practice. That's really all we can say about it. Bucks Basement, thanks for the $4.99 super chat. Says so many parallels to the Broncos game. Media riding the Bucks, an 0-2 team desperate to get the first win for a new coach, backup QB curse, 3-0 curse. Adam, your thoughts on this?
Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of parallels there. The backup quarterback curse is interesting because like Tyrod Taylor isn't a typical backup quarterback. He isn't a guy that doesn't have experience. To me, he's like the Jets version of Teddy Bridgewater. He's a guy that, he's
pretty much.
28 and 28 as a starter. When he goes in, you know that he can manage a game and at least keep it competitive. And I would say like in his spot duty with the Jets, going back to his time, I don't know if he's really had the fairest shake in the NFL because he serves as a bridge guy, and then like Baker will take over, Justin Herbert will take over. So I think Tyrod can hold his own. And when you look at it, the Jets have enough talent, but as Joe was saying, like throughout, and as you know, as a Jets fan, it's like they haven't been able to put all the pieces together. Whereas the Bucs, they don't really have the pieces right now, but the coaching staff has done a tremendous job making it all work.
Former Jets fan. Seth Goodfellow, thank you for the $9.99. Says Opeta impressed last year. Could we get him back? Any trades we could target? Temporary injury we can weather, but with Mauk out for the season, it's worth a day 3 draft pick for a starting caliber player. So Sue Opeta has been re-signed by the Bucs. He is on the practice squad. So he could be a call up at any moment. He does have starting experience. He's with the Eagles from 2019 to 2023. Then tore his ACL last year with the Bucs. Tried to make the team this year, but didn't make it out of the roster cuts. He's very, very capable of coming in and potentially playing. I think it's more of just him like getting through that torn ACL more than anything else.
Yeah. And what's interesting and something to consider here, Matt, is with Cody Mauk on IR now, and I think Luke Gedeke, that opens up 2 roster spots. So, like some of these offensive linemen, I don't know if Michael Jordan's going to be the one that signs on the active roster. Maybe it's Opeta, but like Opeta, he knows what it's like to be along an elite offensive line. He did that for the Eagles in 2023. He started 6 games, and he's very strong. So, knowing the system, I think he would have the upper hand to probably sneak in there before Dan Feeney.
Yeah, I just think it's so tough to play Feeney after not even practicing today. So he'll have 1 practice and a walkthrough under his belt. It's just, it's very difficult. Brian J, thanks for the $4.99 super chat. Says, hey guys, can't believe our O-line injury issues. Hope Tristan can play. I'm flying out from Southern California to watch my first Bucs home opener. Let's freaking go.
Awesome.
That is fantastic. I wish there was healthier players for you. But that's so cool. It's going to be a great time, even before the game, with all the fanfare and the shout out to the 50-year anniversary and all that great stuff. So I hope you have a fantastic time, and I hope the Bucs bring you a win as well.
Yeah.
Matthew Brew, thanks for the $5 super chat. Says, is there a point where the Bucs consider benching Baker because playing behind this O-line is actually dangerous? Well, great quarterbacks can elevate the play of everyone around you, and if you know what you're going to get out of your offensive line, I think that kind of helps too in terms of, hey, I'm only going to have 2 seconds on this one, or, this play I might have 5 seconds. By the way, to answer the trade part, teams don't trade offensive linemen because they're very valuable. So it's very difficult to trade them. But Baker, I think, will know what he has. He's not going to sit out. Like, he'll never agree to that. I mean, they wouldn't even take him out of the game to take a knee, last year. So, I get thinking outside the box. I respect it, but it ain't happening.
Yeah, the Baker undoubtedly gives the Bucs the best chance to win, and just him being so tough, like he's not going to take himself out of the game ever. And so even though like he might get beaten, battered a little bit more than usual. I mean, Joe Burrow's been doing it his whole career, and he's done just a fine job before his latest injury. So I mean, it's something that quarterbacks deal with. They can't control the personnel up front, but all you can do when you're out there, get along with the guys as best as you can and make things happen.
Coach Allen, thanks for the $9.99 super chat. Who says, any chance Tez Johnson is activated this week? Kid can take short passes the distance. I could see a lot of quick game this week with all of our injuries. Go Bucs. Yeah, I mean, if Emeka Egbuka doesn't play, and we'll see, there's still tomorrow. But if Egbuka doesn't play, Tez Johnson will definitely be playing. He has that ability to make guys miss. He didn't really do it in the first game, but somebody's going to have to step up if Egbuka doesn't play. Sterling Shepard will certainly be that first guy, and we saw what Ryan Miller did. But yeah, I would imagine Tez Johnson we get to see if Egbuka does not go, which we don't know that just yet.
And I will say, like, a key point for the Bucs' offensive success, I mean, we saw it against the Texans, relying on that quick game, because Baker Mayfield on those 2 touchdown drives, at one point in the game, Matt, he was like 14 of 19 passing. So he can get the ball out to the guys in short yardage situations, have a guy like Tez get those yards after the catch, things can start happening.
Zach Jarvis says, tailgating is more fun when you have a healthy offensive line. Very, very true. Let's go to JWB3. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Says, do you think Chase's problem kicking stems from him doing the kickoff duties? In the past years, those duties had belonged to the punters. Just a thought. You know, we've discussed this a little bit, a couple of the media members as well, because it's not just that he's doing the kickoff duties. It's a completely different type of responsibility compared to even kickoffs in previous years. It used to be just, hey, kick it as far as you possibly can. Now it's kick it a short amount. Don't do your full exact kick length, and you have to land it within a certain spot. And then for the extra points and the field goals and everything, that's where you go and, rip it as much as you possibly can. It could play a little bit of a factor. There's talks about the footballs have been changed a little bit this year with special teams. I still think it's just more mental than anything else. He's not missing by crazy far. He's hit the post twice already this year. They just need to be a little better.
Yeah, and I think with Chase, I mean, it's all about getting back into the rhythm. He's somebody who prides himself on the mental part of the game. He has a routine and he's very set in his ways. Right now, it's just not working. But I do think to that point, it wouldn't hurt putting Riley Dixon on kickoffs. I mean, he has quite a leg from what we've seen on his punt so far.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea either. Or at times the Bucs have brought in just kickoff specialists, but they got to build out a roster one way or another. Timothy Fitzgerald, thank you for being a Pewter Report YouTube channel member for 13 months now. Says it would be a good time to get Culp and the tight ends more targets. That's actually a great idea, because remember last year when everybody was injured for the Bucs, it was Cade Otton that became the top target guy. Again, if Egbuka doesn't play, this becomes still all about Mike Evans, but this becomes a much more big factor with Cade Otton getting involved in the offense.
Cade Otton is so interesting because Cade Otton's a good player, but he's also inconsistent because he'll go right now he only has 1 catch through 2 games, but watch, if Emeka's out, he'll pop off and have a great game as a tight end. But I think to that point that Timothy mentioned there, expect a lot of 12 personnel. I want to see 2 tight ends out there. I want to see Payne Durham as a blocker, being tenacious, because they'll need all the blocking help that they can get on Sunday.
Especially with the commitment to running the football against the Jets team that, again, allowed over 200 rushing yards last game. By the way, shout out to all of our Pewter Platinum members: Scott Federico, Rachel Gordon, Noah Parr, Scotty J, Dave Anderson, Hezo813, Ash Fishpool, Joel Elrican, Sam, John Dale Morris, Zap Brannigan, RP89, Connor Four Reels, Kevin Thomas, Leighton Carter, Brandon Riley, Alec Bickler, Nick Dubuque, Zach Jarvis, Mario Thomas, Eric McMillan, Dominic Tarantino, HK Bucks, Brayon Pinkney, which I'm going to say louder because it's in all caps, and The Real Maverick. Thank you so much for your support of pewterreport.com. Reminder, we will have a Pewter Insider tomorrow at 1:30. We'll talk about Rachaad White. We'll talk about Emeka Egbuka, what his availability is, and all of that stuff. So join us at 1:30. Pewter and Platinum and Premier members get the invite to that show. So that'll be at 1:30 tomorrow. We'll also have a Pewter post-game show once the Bucs and Jets are done. That'll be around anywhere from 4:15, 4:30, 4:45, depending on when we get done with media stuff. But before that as well, we're going to have the Pewter pregame show, which begins at 9 a.m. That's where we'll break down Bucs versus Jets, talk about some of the most specific and best matchups to watch in that one. And then the Pewter Game Day show will start at 1 o'clock. Adam's going to be hosting that one with Daniel Morales as well. It's a great time with the Pewter Game Day shows. We give our live reactions and analysis to everything going on. So make sure you check on that at 1 o'clock.
Matt, we have a couple of super chats. Yeah, beating the buzzer here. Yes,
we do. Shout out to Chooch. Thank you for this $4.99 super chat. Says, I like the thought of inquiring about Willie Lampkin to the Eagles. Very versatile, clears injury reserve, week 5. Leverett and Stinney, good pod, y'all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I haven't looked into much about Willie Lampkin. I'm not going to lie. If he's coming off of injured reserve, I could tell you the Bucs have scoured the rosters of every team to, go and see who is a best fit for their team. So if the Bucs like it, they'll definitely look into it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Lampkin, isn't he the guy from North Carolina who's like 280 pounds playing offensive line? I think he played center in the preseason, but I think he's really undersized.
Bucs will pretty much take anyone at this point.
Yeah.
Eric Moreno, thank you for the $2 super chat. Says, chances Ibuka plays Sunday. So I've seen him in the locker room. He's not exactly hobbling and stuff. I'll say it's 50-50. I think it's a coin flip at this point.
I'd lean 60-40. I'd say he probably plays just based on like the Bucs needing offensive weapons and his role just being already so defined, I think, to this point.
Wouldn't it be something, and I don't want this to happen, but if like Ibuka guts through it, plays in this game, finds a way to play next week, and then like he gets hurt, but Chris Godwin comes back. Again, just kind of like wearing him thin. I don't want this to happen, but that'd be crazy with all the injuries that happen. It's like Ibuka gives his last limb to play in that last game, and hopefully it wouldn't be like a long-term injury, but then bam, Chris Godwin is back. So
yeah, that seems to be the theme so far.
Yeah. All right. That's going to do it for us on today's show. A lot of good insight about the Bucs and Jets. A lot to talk about with these damn injuries. But the Bucs have a chance to go 3-0 on Sunday. It's their home opener. They're wearing the 1976 throwback uniform. So a lot to look forward to in this game. Shout out to all of you for rocking with us on today's show. If you're not already doing so, please make sure you follow us on all of our social media on X, Facebook, and Instagram. We are at Pewter Report, and our YouTube channel is Pewter Report TV. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment below. Give us your game prediction, what you think is going to happen when the Bucs take on the Jets at home in Raymond James Stadium. Okay, until next time, for Adam Slavon, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you soon for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.